This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 3, and Dave, you're on the air.
Hi, morning.
Morning, Dave. So for our listeners, I'm getting a. Are you on speaker?
Okay. See, are you still there?
Yeah, I am. It was all repeating, but that's perfect there now. I just wanted to remind our listeners that you called yesterday morning, and obviously you're dealing with your partner, your wife, and very, very serious health issues. Time is of the essence, and you were trying to get that appointment. And as you said, otherwise we're talking about starvation here without the feeding tube. Have we made some progress? I understand we may have a bit of, if you want to call it good news, but at least some progress, Dave?
Well, it's not really good news so far. It's everything is still status quo, but one good thing, I'm following the ambulance right now to the health sciences from Ballallen. It took a bit of undertaking to do it, with the help of Mr. Hutton again. Thank God he's there. But we're on our way now, so hopefully things will start looking up from here.
Yeah, you mentioned yesterday it would be mid-August, I think, before you could get another appointment. But and you mentioned the MHA for the area, the Liberal MHA, Fred Hutton's helping you with assisting you there. I know Fred called the program right after your call yesterday to get in touch with you. So good on him. That's what the MHAs are. That's their work, to do what they can for their constituents. So I'm glad to hear you're on the way.
Yeah, well, he went over and above, let me tell you, right now. I can't thank that man enough. I mean, he opened doors that were so closed it wasn't funny. I mean, even yesterday, having trouble, everything was... See, this is the thing. There's a lot of miscommunication going on. I think that's what's the problem with healthcare right now. And the thing is, like, we were told, I was told yesterday, yeah, everything is a go. Go emergency departments, know what's going on. Take your wife to the Ballallen emergency, and an ambulance will take you right to the health science. Both departments know about it, both hospitals. Perfect. I go to the Ballallen hospital, and they know nothing of it. They never got nothing of it whatsoever. So then I called Mr. Hutton again and told him about what was going on, and he said, that's not good enough. So I put him on speaker, and he pretty well told the young nurse that was there to call the health science emergency department and get it straightened out, So anyway, thank God they did. But then we hit another snafu because, we got the ambulance there, but we only got one crew.
Right.
So anyway, I had to take her back home and go down this morning again to get it. I was told to bring her back at 7:30, and again, miscommunication. The ambulance crew never got the call until 8:30 this morning. So now, finally, we got the 10 o'clock boat, and now we're on our way to the health science.
Yeah, I don't want to just put flippant comments into it, but better late than never in this case, for sure.
Yes. Oh, yes.
How is she doing right now? Like, is conscious and aware of everything that's going on, Dave?
Oh, she's conscious and aware of what's going on. She wants to go home. She doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to be in the ambulance there right now. I mean, like, she wants to be comfortable. She wants to be in her own setting, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, nothing's changed. She still can't eat, and she very little intake. But I noticed as of yesterday now, it's she's getting this like a Flemish talk, and when she talks a little bit, right?
Yeah, so it's got the gurgle in her throat, you mean?
The gurgle effect, yeah. There's something happening there now. I don't know what's going on there, but, hopefully they'll find out and get to the bottom when we get there.
Yeah, you don't want something coming back up like that, or obstruction or anything like that. So it's good news that you're on the way. And let's hope when you get there. Is it just yourself? Like, who's with you other than yourself and your wife?
Well, my daughter's flying in. She just landed here in St. John's.
Support's incredible. That support's invaluable. I mean, to have that, whatever you need. I mean, like, we all know where your attention is diverted, right? And should be.
She left the same time we went to the hospital this morning from Nova Scotia, and she landed here, and we're only coming off the ferry now.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear you have the support. I'm glad to hear there's some kind of progress, and it's not waiting another month because, as you said, she probably didn't have another month.
No, definitely not.
In that situation.
No, it wouldn't have happened. No.
Yep.
No. Because I'm seeing a decline every day. Yeah. Every day in her, I'm seeing a decline. There's something else popping up every day.
Dave, I'm glad to see this is happening to this extent now, but boy, oh boy, it's an example of how it shouldn't happen. I mean, if it's, communication... I'm not sure how much money that costs, right? That's more organization, and I don't know if it gets into the weeds of staffing or if it gets into the weeds of technology or what, because we don't know right now why the lines kept getting crossed. But it is an example that if you don't have someone else to advocate on your behalf, who knows knows who to call, who knows the system, who knows the problems that can occur and the impediments that can get in your way, if you don't have some experience with it, and especially when you're in a situation like you're in, you're not going to think as rational as you might. You're going to do whatever you have to do for that loved one. And when you hit barriers like you did, it just takes you down a notch, and it affects you, and of course it's going to ultimately affect your loved one. So I'm glad to see you're on your way. I'm glad you see that it seems like they'll be ready for you when you get there, and I know it's a lesser priority for you, but when you get through this stage of it, please let me know how it went, and I hope it goes well.
I do too. I'm fingers crossed. I'm praying that everything goes great. And like I said before, I can't thank Mr. Hutton enough.
Well, you've done...
Yep. I got to thank Open Line, because without you guys, the message wouldn't have got out there,
Well, you knew to call, because the problem is we know that these cases, and Dave, you should see the emails I've gotten with care and concern for you and your wife. I want to pass that on to you. There are some incredibly heartfelt messages sent your way from people who've either been in the same situation or are going through it right now, and we know that is not few and far between. There are many people struggling with the healthcare system right now, getting it or just trying to navigate it. So I want to mention that to you too. People were praying for you, so that must have been working out too, I think. But anyway, I welcome any kind of update you get from it. You made the call here, and that's what got the ball rolling. And good on Fred Hutton, the MHA. And again, a lesson to other people. Give the MHA a call. That's what they're there for. They know the system. They know your area, the part of the geography that you're in, and they should be able to help you. That's what they're there for. So I'm glad it was able to work out in your case so far.
Perfect. I can't thank, Fred, I can't thank VOCM enough, and thank everybody for the support. I appreciate it.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Right to line number 3 and the PCMHA for Lab West. Joe Power, you're on the air.
Morning, Brian. Thanks for having me on.
Good morning. Oh, you're more than welcome. I should mention as well, the Parliamentary Secretary, I believe you still are to the Minister of Labrador Affairs.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Full plate these days. Go for it.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to come on and say it was a great pleasure to have Minister Forsey back here in Labrador West this week to announce that the water bomber will be stationed here in Wallbush, and also some other announcements. $66,000 for fire equipment funding. We're purchasing 2 dedicated structural protection units, one for Lab West, one for Happy Valley Goose Bay, 6 new wildland firefighter positions for Labrador as well. This announcement represents a major investment in wildlife preparedness and response across Labrador. So, as you know, Brian, during the last couple of weeks, we've been surrounded by forest fires here in Lab West. I just want to thank the Premier and the Minister for ensuring that we had all the resources required here in Labrador West over the past couple of weeks to keep our residents safe.
Yes, and thank goodness the Mother Nature cooperated to some extent, but you can't always rely on that. We know that, Joe. And when we look at last year, boy, I tell you, and right now, Northern Ontario is on fire. And up until, I think, a week ago, most of the forecasters were saying, this was a pretty normal year, but it has taken off, and the numbers have spiked in the past couple of weeks. And you can see it here, right? Even in the city here, the sun this morning was just a weird, different kind of blood red from the haze and the smoke and the effects of it, from blowing from the west to east. Joe, you mentioned there, the news of the water bomber. It's going to have a presence. I think the exact wording from the government was continue the planning process to establish infrastructure in Wabush to support a seasonal presence for a water bomber in Lab West. Can you tell me when it might be there?
Well, actually, Brian has been here all summer so far, and it's
right. But
continue.
But going by that particular one, to establish the infrastructure and to support it, for full time.
Yeah. As a government, we're making announcements, and we're not making announcements just for the sake of making announcements. I've been in discussion with both the Premier and the Minister now for some time, and they're listening to me. They're listening to the residents of Labrador West. I can guarantee our residents here that it's not going to take us 5 or 6 years to put this in place. There's already plans in place over the last week or so. Just to give you an example, there's already accommodations being started here for the forest fighter, Walland, the Grand Cruise, next to the forestry station here in Wallbush. That's been contracted out and ready to be put in place probably in the next month or so. So we campaign on safer communities. I campaign personally here on putting reinstate the water bomber back in Labrador West, and the government has listened to us, and plans are in place, and this is not going to take 5 or 6 years. We're hoping by next summer a lot of this will be started and put in place.
Okay, yeah. So not 5 or 6. That's good news. I mean, because with a 4-year cycle for government, then you'll be long gone, or unless you stick around for another. I mean, depend on what happens at an election.
Yep.
But we can't really put. I mean, is it impossible to put a timeline and say started next year? But if not 5 and 6, can you say 2?
No, I'm not going to say anything right now, but. Like I said, working with the Premier and working with the Minister, the commitment is there to have this done and have it done as fast as we can. And as MHA for Labrador West, I've advocated on our behalf to get the water bomber put back here, and I'll keep advocating to have this in place as fast as we can. Yep. And I'm sure it's going to happen.
No, listen, no one, we appreciate the attention to it, and especially at this time of year. I mean, it was a timely announcement, and no one disputes and no one begrudges the government for the commitments to do this. But we all know, right, the pushback we get, like the mayor. I had the mayor, Jordan Brown, on Labrador City yesterday, and others have spoken about the concerns of no timelines. That's just my point, that's all. Yeah,
no, listen, I hear you. And Brian, as you may know, I had the fortune, the honor of serving the town of Labrador City as fire chief here for years, and there's nobody else can put this out there like I can. I'm not being pacing myself up or nothing, but I know exactly from first-hand knowledge what it means to have the resources here and have them in place when a fire starts, not having to wait. I've seen this over the years, and it makes a big difference when you got the resources here. When a forest fire starts and you got a water bomber in there, it makes a big difference. I've seen it over the years. I've seen it through experience, and both the Premier and the Minister is listening to what we have to say here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's nothing like seeing it in the air, and nothing like seeing it there permanently as well. So, without, I take the government on its word that it will eventually happen. Not 5 or 6 years, as you said. Let's hope it's definitely not that long. But I guess for the people up there, and you're absolutely right, Joe. You know better than most, having done that work, that yeoman's work voluntarily and otherwise up there for years. You know it. So no one knows the need better than you. So I'm sure you're on it, and the sooner we can get a more solid, nailed down time, the better. I know that's not easy when it's out, but people want to hear more than announcements, as you know, and that's just not for your government. That goes for all governments, right?
No, and like I said, we're not just making announcements. This will happen, and I'm sure I got full support of the Premier and the Minister to ensure that it do happen.
Absolutely. Joe, I appreciate anything else? I didn't want to give you a short shift, but anything else this morning?
No. Like you said earlier there, Brian, we had a lot of rain here yesterday. Now they're calling for some rain here today, cooler weathers, and the evacuation alert has been lifted here by the towns and that, and hopefully the weather cooperates with us over the next couple of days, and we still have water bombers here. We still have helicopter pilots here, and the ground crews are doing a fantastic job to make sure that this don't come back off at us again. So, and again, I just want to thank everybody out there, the helicopter crews, water bomber crews, instant command, everybody that's been involved in this here and help us keep the community of Labrador West safe in the last couple weeks.
Couldn't agree with you more. When you watch them in live action, hey, doing the dump, doing the pickup, and then the dump, and the low flying, and the right over it. Look, it's not for the faint of heart. So 100% for the staff as well. Thanks again, Joe. Appreciate the time.
All right, thank you, Brian.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
I can't tell you how many people have been talking or mentioning their sightings of, or lack thereof, of rabbits. Of course, the snow here around Newfoundland and Labrador. Around this year, I'll call it the lack thereof or the sightings, because it's hard to tell sometimes. Depends on where you are, and it's all relative. The great rabbit debate, we'll call it, because it's one that raises its head, or should I say its ears, every few years. And so I will say I've noticed a few on the trails here in the middle of the city. Not unheard of, but certainly a little more rare than on the outskirts or more rural areas. So it is because, is it because they're at it more, like rabbits, or what? Well, for all that and your other rabbit and snow hare questions, we have Michael Pears on the line. Michael Pears, let's go right to line number one. An ecologist, of course, and postdoctorate fellow at MUN in the discipline of biology. Good morning, Michael. You're on the air.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being available right off the bat. Look, I call it the great rabbit debate. As a journalist, we've done these stories over the years. You'll get hunters will say one thing, people in other areas. And it could be a spike somewhere and a spike elsewhere, and they get this 7 to 11 year time, cycle of what we think is accurate. Is that still a thing, the 7 to 11 year cycle, or is it just, again, as I said, just relative and what you see?
No, snowshoe hares, they do fluctuate in abundance, and they go through these decade-long population cycles. And just to give you a scale of how drastic those changes are, when I was working in the Yukon, and at the low of the cycle, we would have about 80 traps in a kilometer.
Right.
We would go out and trap 3 times, and you'd catch one hare once. At the peak, you would catch maybe 100 different hares in those 3 nights of trapping. So the scale is pretty massive. Here on the Avalon, that scale is maybe not as drastic. The hares don't get those super high abundances like they do in northern Canada, but they don't go to those extreme lows. It always feels like there's a few hares around at least.
So what would be the assessment now? Where are we, say, in that cycle?
So we are sort of where we were on that kind of increasing phase of the cycle. It's not as perfect here on the Avalon. You don't get those perfectly clear cycles. They're a little bit more eruptive. But I haven't done a density estimate yet this summer to really know if that increase in all of the rabbits that people are seeing on the road, all of the roadkill, is truly representative of a density increase, but it appears like it would be. I mean, that's what happens when they start to increase in numbers. You do get that big peak.
Yeah, and are the differences when it comes to, as you said, the Avalon, is it strictly just relatable to population?
I mean, it could be a lot of things. It could be differences in food, differences in the environment, but it also could be differences in predators.
Human population is what I meant to specify there. Sorry about that.
Oh, I mean, that wouldn't be my guess. It would be more something like the predators that we have on the Avalon relative to the rest of Newfoundland and the rest of the boreal forest.
And when we're talking predators, primarily lynx or fox, or what's on the menu?
Yeah, so it is. Across their whole range, Canada lynx is that sort of main predator. But here on the Avalon, I think it tends to lean more coyotes, some birds of prey, foxes, and things like that. So that could also be part of the reason why they don't necessarily go through those perfect decade-long cycles, and their populations tend to be a little more eruptive.
Yeah, and on that note, related to, I'm hearing, in addition to the numbers about rabbits, about coyotes. I hear that's on bust. Is that a thing as well?
Well, I don't have numbers to validate that, but that would make sense to me, because that's what happens with snowshoe hares when they go through these population fluctuations. They're really a keystone prey for a lot of species, and so a lot of predators will also fluctuate in abundance. I know there's been hares on the Avalon at, relatively high numbers for the last few years, so it makes sense that coyote numbers, foxes, other things that eat hares would also be higher. And if we do see a really big peak this spring, then it would make sense that come breeding, coyotes and other predators would be doing great, and their numbers would also see a sort of spike as well.
So what kind of impact? I mean, like, bottom line, how does this affect us, if at all, like the ecosystem, the flux, the flux of rabbit population, rather, I mean, it's interesting, and, hunters are interested in that sort of thing, but for the average person, I mean, how does this in any way impact, the ecosystem overall?
I mean, it's a natural changing thing. It's been happening for centuries, even dating back to Hudson Bay trapping records. Rabbit populations fluctuate, and so it's a natural process. I think how it impacts people is it could mean there's more hares for trappers. It could mean there's more predator sightings. For me, I like the forest when we have, snowshoe hares at these really high densities, because it just means there's more animals around to see.
Yeah, and to see and startle,
That's right.
It's and startle in a good way. I mean, these are rabbits, right? It's not the Tasmanian devil coming out of the woods all of a sudden and spinning around and oh my God. But just right here in the center, I just found it very odd on a walking trail, really, near to the densely populated downtown area. It's just not a place I'm expecting to see a rabbit jump out between two houses, unless it's domestic.
Yeah. And I will say this time of year as well is when you really do see them running about on the roads and in the forest on the trails, because it is when they're breeding. And so rabbits will chase each other when they're trying to attract mates and when they're trying to impress females. And so they're really bold, and you'll see them running across the roads more frequently at this time of year.
Yeah, and maybe even a lot over around Churchill Park this weekend when the
Yeah.
Oh, we're still talking about rabbits. Okay, right. All right. Males chasing females. Sorry, and vice versa. Who knows? I don't know. Michael, I appreciate this today. I just, right off the top, we had so many calls about it, and so many different people. Actually, a couple of people mentioned it to me because one guy ran over one, and he was devastated, and he had the kids in the car. And so I guess it's really driver beware, hey, when it comes to that.
Yes, they'll be darting across the roads for sure this time of year.
Absolutely. Look, thanks for your time this morning. Nice little check-in. Overall, do you got a number? Like, can we even estimate the numbers of, how they've fluctuated in a couple of years?
Yeah, so here in our density estimates on the Avalon, the sort of lowest we got is like 0.1 hares per hectare. So a hectare is just 100 meters by 100 meters. At the sort of highest number we've got is around 1 hare per hectare. So it's still a really big increase in numbers. And so it'd be interesting to see come this fall how many hares, if this, really big increase in the amount of sightings, the amount of roadkill, does that represent an even higher number than we've gotten previously? So it'll be interesting to see. So
say 1 per hectare would equate to how many for the island, like when you extrapolate that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have that number off the top of my head, but it would be quite a lot.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess there's a math to be done there. I'm going to do some math on the hectares in the province, and then we'll number them out from that. Math is not my strength. I'm going to be completely transparent about that. Michael, thanks very much for the time today. Ecologist, freelance consultant, postdoctorate at Munns Biology. We lean on Munns Biology Department quite a bit here, so thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks for having me.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to line number 1. Mayor of Harbour Grace, Terry Barnes, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. Congratulate you on your new position, taking over from Mr. Paddy Daly, well known in the Newfoundland on the talk show. I hope you filled your boots well.
Well, as I tell everyone, there's no sense trying to fill anyone's boots. I got my own on, and hopefully it works. Hopefully they keep fitting, and if they don't, I'll hear about it, and then somebody else can come in with a pair of sneakers.
Excellent job. Excellent.
Appreciate it, though, Terry. Thanks for the kind words. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Thank you very much. I just want to give you a little update there. I know the Newfoundland government made promises they're going to build ferries in Newfoundland.
Yes, sir.
And the Carney government is going to do a lot of spending in their with some boats for their fleets, and they're looking outside of everywhere else, only in the Maritimes. Mm-hmm. So that brings me up to what I want to just say a few words. Boat building in Harbour Grace, Newfoundland has roots dating back to the early 18th century. August 18, 1918 was the day chose to launch the first shipbuilding by the Newfoundland Shipbuilding Company. Governor of Newfoundland was in attendance, as well as many other dignitaries and residents from all over the region. Step into the world of shipbuilding excellence with HGOI. They provide top-notch service for all your vessel needs. From new vessel construction to vessel repair, vessel dry docking, custom carpentry, steel and aluminum fabrication, fiberglassing, painting, and much more. The largest inshore vessel built in Newfoundland launches from Harbour Grace, Pitten's Legacy. 90 foot by 32 foot wide. The workmanship was top-notch, no corners cut. An excellent bunch of guys who built the boat from start to finish. The provincial government is assisting the province's shipbuilding capacity in an attempt to fulfill its election commitment to construct new ferries. So I'm advocating that HGOI should be given recognition and expertise in boat building, and realize that the 70-plus workers that work at the facility in Harbour Grace are not only from Harbour Grace, but from the region. And to Mr. Premier, please help our region out. Keep on top of our federal government counterparts regarding shipbuilding in Newfoundland, and keep HGOE around as they prepare to expand. In our area, we got a lot of the top-notch young welders, fabricators, and they're not only from Harbour Grace. I must make that known. Mm-hmm. They're from down the shore, they're from up the bay, and they're top-notch young people here that works in the town of Harbour Grace. And like I said, now the federal government are coming out, going to build these boats, 100-plus foot boats in Newfoundland and in the Maritimes. I know there's bull armors out there. But when you do the history on Newfoundland and regarding Harbour Grace when it comes to the fishing industry, we're by far one of the top-notch places also. So I know this is a private entity, but I will
absolutely.
No, absolutely.
Yep, sorry, Terry. Go ahead.
I'd like to thank you this morning, Brian, for giving me the opportunity to advocate for business that's ongoing in our town. It's been ongoing for a long, long time. And when you got 70-plus workers on it with this new work that's going to be on our horizon, I'm going to be advocating for the town of Harbour Grace.
And rightly so, doing your job. At HGIO, it may have fallen by the wayside for some people. I mean, all the focus being on Bull Arm, potential for defense contracts involving submarines potentially, or anything along those lines, any shipbuilding, even Marystown, of course, they've got that history. And, I think of, just from my news business, I always think of the Harbour Grace Ocean Industries as, the landing point. There's a lot of offloading and unloading goes on. I don't know, to what extent has, say, a vessels, in the last while, just for my ignorance, when was the last time we've had a good contract at HGOI for a ship build?
Outside of private, nothing. What I mean by that, like from the government or any perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I said, they just built the Pitten's Legacy there belonged to Dwight Pitton, who passed away. Now his son took it over, Matthew. Mm-hmm. I mean, she was a 90-foot steel boat, constructed, built from the keel right till she was launched at a Harbour Grace. 90 foot by 32 feet. So they're quite capable of building that needs to be built right here in Harbour Grace also.
Does it give you, any pause? I mean, obviously, right out of the gate with the provincial government before the election, the promise was to get 4. And now it's kind of feels like a little bit of a step back for a consultant to come in to review the capacity, as opposed to moving right to, contracts or identifying shipyards or identifying the kind of vessels that can be built, what kind of ferry, whether or not they fit the docks at either Bell Island or Fogo or wherever the swing vessels might end up. Did that give you any pause at all when you saw that it's not necessarily going right into that? They're taking this other sort of off-ramp to review the capacity and readiness first, which one might have thought that was done before they made the promise.
Absolutely. They should have looked at this years ago, but that's okay. I mean, I'm quite confident that Harbour Grace can live up to what it needs to get done here in town Harbour Grace.
Yeah. Terry, just one last question. I haven't spoke to you since this, but the Ridley office building. I hate to bring it up, just quickly, can you speak to any of I'm still getting some emails about that, and people really disappointed that it went by the wayside, the decision to demolish this nearly 200-year-old building. But I mean, we see this all the time in the city, right? Unless the owners are going to do something with it, it falls to the city or the province. Yeah, are you still hearing it about that, or are people understanding the situation you're in?
Well, it's a private-owned place, and it was beyond repair. I mean, people can still say what they want, so I'm after taking a lot of slack. And at the end of the day, it was a safety issue from town Harbour Grace, and not only a safety issue, where are you going to come up with $1 million or a couple $1 million to take it down brick by brick and build back? We know the government got no money, so you don't expect a private individual to go out and probably try to fundraise a couple $1 million to restore something. Now, do I want to see it gone? Nobody wants to see it gone. But at the end of the day, we've done what we had to do, and we got to move on with it.
Excellent. Look, sorry, I just had it on my list, and I didn't want to let it go without, because a couple people have asked me, they're not looking for any solutions. They just wanted to make sure it was brought up, and I appreciate you commenting on it, even though that's not the reason you called.
No, thank you for your time this morning, and you will hear me a lot when I see what's going on with these ferries for Newfoundland. Absolutely.
I look forward to it. You're welcome anytime. Thanks very much, Mayor Terry Barnes, Harbour Grace. Thanks again, sir. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you very much.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to line number one. And Maria Gentle with the YWCA Executive Director. Go for it. You're on the air.
Hi there. Thanks so much for this time. I know you're winding out the day, but this is perfect timing to say we are winding down the nomination period for the 2026 Circle of Distinction nominations this year.
I got it up on the screen here. Nominations accepted until July the 20th.
You got it. So that's the midnight on Sunday.
Oh no, time is a ticking. So Maria, we got about 2 minutes. So how can people go about this, and who should they be nominating?
Great. So the Circle of Distinction is to celebrate gender equity in community. And so we're seeking folks who know amazing women and gender diverse people who are contributing to community. And they can go to www.ywcastjohns.com and see the big banner there for Circle of Distinction Awards. It closes, like I said, on Sunday evening. Mm-hmm. There's a very detailed nomination package. We're looking for folks in the St. John's metro region, 18 plus. There's lots of amazing opportunities to recognize people in the area of equity at work, innovation, social justice, and youth. So there are also two sort of anchor awards, our Trailblazer Award and the Lifetime Achievement Award, to really recognize people at all spectrums of their development and stages of contribution to community.
It's so important to recognize. It's absolutely, and it's a big deal. And I think the awards celebration is in September, is it?
You got it. So the nomination period closes on Sunday. So this is the last weekend to get your nominations in. It's a reminder to folks who've always meant to do it to reach out and to make those nominations happen. I can't tell you how many people have told me that these nominations make such a big impact in the lives of those who are nominated. And it's such an inspirational morning event to be a part of and to be in that room with such amazing change makers, like I said, from all ages and all walks of life. It's focused on gender equity and social justice and community, and it's an amazing way to, like I said, celebrate community. So that's the website. Go to www.ywcastjohns.com, and all the information is there.
Thanks for that. All of it, the nomination criteria, everything, /COD, C-O-D. So ywcastjohns.com /COD. Thanks for this very much today.
Thank you. Have a great one.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to our line number 2, and Preet Panther, new owner of the Gander A&W. Look at that. Preet, you're on the air.
Hey, bro, how's it going?
Very good. Wow, I'm a fan of the root beer first. Of the root beer first, but of the food in general. I'm sorry, shameless promotion, but I love it. I'm old enough to remember the pulling up to the to the parking lot of the A&W on Topsail Road here, where I think right next to McDonald's it used to be. One of the first A&W locations, and pulling up, and the worker would come out with the tray and the order. You'd order at the little window, or not at the window, but at the speaker, and they'd come out with it on the tray with the glass mug of root beer. I'm telling you, I'm going down memory lane here, but tell me all about Tell me all about the buzz.
Yes, those are the good old drive-in days, when there was rollerblades and all that fun. So times have definitely changed, but we recently took over the Gander location, and it's been great. Great feedback from the community, and excited to bring back some favorites like the car shows and the car meets, and it's definitely great reception from the community so far, and so happy to be a part of the community.
And Preet, this is no, you just didn't stumble into this. You started at the I won't say the bottom, because I worked in fast food for a while as a kid. My first job at Burger King, believe it or not. No offense, but that was my first little part-time job, and not unlike yourself, you started in the kitchen, didn't you not? And worked your way up.
That is true. Yeah, I was going to university, and you know how university fees and everything were kind of expensive. So right in front of my school there was an A&W. So I applied and got hired as a cook, as a dishwasher, just part-times, and I guess appreciated my work, and became a cook, became a cashier, and a couple of years later a supervisor, manager, and then I had the opportunity to invest with the franchisee at the time, because he was opening up a new location, and became a franchisee owner in 2019, and kind of from there just kind of just took off really, and started investing into other locations and opening up some more, and thankfully we have 14 today.
And not unlike the partners that you work with too, who also, you guys are raw from the ground floor, and people are going, oh, why are they giving A&W? You guys do a lot with the community as well. People will put the title of pillar of a community, with car shows and other charity events as well. So it's just a great news story, and we're all over the good news stories here in case you've been listening. But tell me about your partners as well, who came from the stock as well.
Yeah. So we all have very similar stories. Just hungry kids looking for the next opportunity, and so there's Brady and there's Priya, Sahil, who's a part of the team, and we all kind of just grew up in the A&W family, and just kind of working there and just looking for what's next, and really, we're all part of the communities, born and brought up here. And so then, trying to just connecting with the community, trying to be a pillar. We do a lot with the charities and things like that. And, the best and most successful restaurants are the ones that, give back to the community.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but when you said that you took the words right out of my mouth, right? It's not just about bringing in the customers and a profit. It's about turning that around and making it the whole business a part of the community. Did you, if you don't mind me asking, I'd be remiss if I didn't. Were you born here in the province, or
I was born in Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay, and what brought you to Newfoundland?
This is a great question, honestly. So in Edmonton, Alberta, I was born and brought up there. I was there until the age of 25. What brought me out east, and originally I landed in Moncton, New Brunswick, but I've been spending about most of my time here on the island, is this opportunity and growing with the brand. There's a lot of opportunity for expansion. I wasn't really seeing that out west. A lot of these franchisees are much bigger groups, 40, 50, 60 locations. And so, I kind of expressed some frustrations of how can I grow and where would be a good market and a lot of opportunity. And, since COVID, all the Atlantic provinces have seen a lot of growth. And so it was perfect timing for us. And we entered the market in 2023. Super happy about that decision. And so it's like I think definitely the right decision, and the people are very nice as well.
Fantastic! It's amazing. Hey, everything for a reason, as they say, and I'm sure in your travels that applies. Hey.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Everything happened for a reason.
It's Edmonton is definitely very cold, and so some on the rock is definitely better as well. So.
Yeah, it gets a little chilly around here too, but it's not the same, eh?
It's not the same cold for sure.
Yep. Well, listen, the grand opening is slated for the week of the 20th. Is it on the 20th? Just to be clear, I'm just trying to find it here. The actual grand opening. Why don't you just give me the details and what's happening?
Yes, sure. So the grand opening, it's actually going to be in August. We ordered a bunch of new equipment and everything, so it's still a little bit up in the air, but we'll be sharing that on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And so right now the date isn't confirmed. We know it's going to be a big buzz, so we just want to make sure that we're prepared as we're ready for the equipment and everything to roll in. But we'll be sharing that those updates on the Facebook page. There'll be a big car show and a lot of other suppliers, and Rudy the mascot will be there as well.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, the car shows and A&W go hand in hand. Hey, bye. So that's great. Great news, Preet. Thanks a lot for making time for the show. We love these good news stories, especially in the business world. It can be a struggle, as you said, post-COVID, but good on you. Great success. And to you and your partners, onward and upward. Thanks for the call today.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Sean on line 5, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian.
Morning.
I guess Brother Rice alumni have done well for themselves.
Yes, okay, so I didn't see your surname there, but I think I know who we're talking about now. Yes, sir. A few of us, hey? A few of us managed to make it through.
Yeah, a few of us, man, I'll tell you. They gave us a solid education and prepared us for what lay beyond. That's all I can say about that.
I agree.
But I'm going to make this short and sweet because I know David said that you're pressed for time. But I've lived on Balleen Line towards the town of Balleen, that's adjacent to Pooch Cove and Tora Bay. And for the 12 years I've lived here, man, I got to say, this road is just horrible. I can only describe it as the road that just continually narrows as you get further and further down the line. And I mean, I'm sure there must have been a NASCAR engineer who designed these roads, because when you're walking the roads, you're walking on a good tilt, to keep level with the, try to keep yourself upright, and the shoulders are non-existent. Now, that being said, work was scheduled by this government here, and I got to say, I am an adamant progressive conservative, and I got to say, John, the previous caller, is not wrong. The past 12 years have substantially lowered our standard of living as a Canadian, and the work that was just recently done, I just don't think it's up to snuff. And it's just left there. I mean, potholes galore. They put in some culverts and everything. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but, I've driven this road for the past 12 years, and I got to say, it's just horrible. And given the fact that, we have so much traffic going back and forth to the Balleen Line, to the Balleen Harbor, and to Marine Park, I never knew there were so many boats and campers that went down this road. But my God, when they hit the potholes in front of my place, I'm being woke up in the middle of the night. The dog is barking. And in the middle of the daytime, we're sitting around eating lunch and your nerves are shattered. And I live right on the curve, where there's a long stretch, and people hammer it down this road. And I'm after hauling every year, and I'm not joking, 5 to 6 people out of the ditches there because they just don't know the road, or the road surface is too slippery or is too poor, which it is always. And my nerves can't take it anymore. I have written letters to every politician, and I've got nothing back. And I am surprised by this, not even any acknowledgement that we received your letter. And I didn't just write to complain. I offered solutions, about putting maybe a guardrail next to my place and other treacherous areas, because these are bog areas. They're water-filled and everything like that. And they're not minor accidents. I mean, light poles have been taken. Now, cars have been flipped and
this
rolled
isn't
and burned to the ground.
And this isn't during Targa or anything, right?
No. Well, it's Targa here every single day. And I got a camera on my truck, and I absolutely do not put up with people who are passing me on the solid red line. I just do what any self-respecting citizen is going to do. And this is my home.
Yep.
And people need to treat it with the respect that it deserves. I'm after going out and spending money putting up, children playing in the area, pets playing in the area. I mean, there's not even a speed sign put on the road anywhere. So I guess people are just saying it's willy-nilly. Yeah, looks like I can do 100 on this stretch. I'm going to do it. Oh, darn it, here comes the turn. And here comes Sean coming out with his first aid kit.
It's a challenge.
All right, listen, thanks a lot.
They take it as a challenge, Sean. Quick question. Is that the road to the new soundstage that's supposed to be built down there?
No, that's Bowling Line Extension.
Okay.
And when they built that one, too, I don't know if they thought we were in Italy because I just got back from that place last month.
Okay.
And I got to say the roads over there are not much narrower than what they are there.
All right,
listen, thanks a lot, Brian.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to line number one. And Dr. Gerald Curtis, Professor of Visual Culture at Grenfell and the Harlow campus. Yes, it's still the Harlow campus. You're on the air.
Hi, Brian. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for joining the program this morning. I just kind of made a flip remark there as the old Monty Python. to keep it in the same vein, it's not dead yet, but is it, this parrot? The parrot's, I don't know.
The parrot's still alive.
I think the parrot's still alive.
We're still here. Yeah, we're still here. We have an alumni group coming in 10 days. About 20 former students coming to enjoy the campus. We've been told it's supposed to be sold off August 31st, but in fact, they can't sell it off right away because they have to get certification from the Canadian federal government before they can even begin that. That hasn't been cleared, so that's probably going to take a few months. And then on top of that, once they try to sell it off, they have to offer it to another educational institution for 6 to 9 months before they can put it up for private sale. So that's extending the time frames out a bit.
That's an interesting curve to this. What the 6 to 9 months? What's the reason for that?
It's an educational institution with charitable status. So effectively, they have to offer it to another educational institution first, the main facilities, and there's. Sorry, somebody's just coming to the front door here.
No problem. I get the distraction all the time. Maybe they could sell it. Maybe they could sell it to the College of the North Atlantic.
Well, yeah, or maybe another university that could run it a little bit better than the upper management at Memorial has managed this. I know we had Neil Bowes had a research associated he hired as director here at double the salary of the previous director with free rent. So there's been some shenanigans going on here that previously, as we've seen with the management and administration of Memorial, they aren't exactly the greatest. But the new young manager they have here, he's already made in the first few months of the year, he made £200,000, about $500,000 here, more than the previous 16 years, and but he was told to cancel another $60,000 in revenue because the university didn't want to have the facility seem like it was making money.
Yeah, and we're told this is about bricks and mortar, right? I mean, to deal with the $25 or so million deficit last year that they pointed to, and trying to cut the fat or try to sell off properties to make the university leaner and meaner. I'm not sure better, but
no, and any university worth its salt. Brian, you look at the old story of Cambridge University is you walk from London to Cambridge and always stand on Cambridge land. You look at UBC and the properties, right? You take these things and you turn them into leases. Universities exist for 800 to 1,000 years, so their mortgage plans, so their business plans should be, 100 to 200 years in the future, not short-term immediate sell-offs. And they could lease some of the land. They could turn this into a research hub, and that's what we're advocating to the federal government, that now with this turning to the UK and to the EU, this is probably the only university with a really decent foothold in the EU. Queen's has got a castle, but it's isolated way out of the way. We're 40 minutes from the heart of London, perfect location, and we've got a lot of social connections. The deputy mayor was just at the opening of the students' exhibition here the other day, and she's been a defender of Harlow for years.
Yeah.
And the economic impact it has on the local area is huge.
Yeah, I followed some of the municipal council over there and their debate over this. Has their view on it changed at all?
No, they still think, somebody approached me who had some connections to local government, said, what idiots made this decision to sell out the campus, right? They obviously don't understand the importance of the role of Harlow campus in the UK, and, the local economy is going to take a real hit with this. But it's not that, it's not just the local economy. It's, at a time when we're trying to move away from the U.S., this is a time when we need vision, creativity, and imagination from the administration and the university. And in fact, we have the gray people in charge, the bean counters and people like that, who don't see the vision. And, like I said, we have a young manager here with great admin assistant, Phoebe, here. They've been making money for the campus, but as soon as they were making money and they were providing the truth about the enrollment here, they were told to take down all the social media accounts. And the university doesn't want any of that positive side to be promoted. They just have this one singular vision. This is low-hanging fruit for them, right? It makes them look good to the government by saying, "Oh, we're selling off all our properties and our assets." But the reality is, it's a small dent overall, and in fact it could be turned into something much better and brighter. Yeah, it's an obvious move. It's in news. It shows that they're actually doing something as opposed to something quieter behind the scenes. I mean, this is action. Right. I mean, the new president, Janet Morrison, I think she said Memorial, the words something like right-sizing its physical footprint and focus on what matters most. Well, and others have said, too, in the academic world, I think Peter Ride had mentioned with the Fine Arts program there, the dean, he talked about, look, students will continue to be able to study abroad. They just won't be able to sleep at Harlow. Is it that simple? No, of course not that simple, right? I think Peter's view of it, he was a London-based academic, right? So he's London-centric, right? Here, it's really connections with local people. So, for example, the group of students I had here, the 27 that were here, just left yesterday. I went out to the airport with them. They had connections here. Local people wanted to throw a little party for them in the pub. You're not going to get that in London. They talk about, going and having the experience, but it's really going to be the tourist experience in the heart of London. They're not going to have the immersive education that Harlow has always offered. And we have, I had the number of local people who have married here, met people here, married here, live here locally from the province, and then we have, connections. They're sending their families back home for, tourism. Those things are never going to happen again if you move it into London. London is just a short term, it's like a taste or teaser type of thing, whereas here, like I said, it's immersive education. The local people get to know them. We have a fellow here for 40 years called Les Blackbeard, and he's been taking students on trips. He's met them. He's shown them the intricacies of pub culture, pub life. They'll never get that in London, right? They'll never get that local connection. And like I said, I was talking to a teacher yesterday, just in the local pub. She drops in. She comes from CBS. She has these great memories. She brings her family back home, but she's also here for the students that come here, right? It's a different. It's just actually, it's bittersweet for me because I've seen all these positive things, and you just can't hammer it through. This is, Janet prides herself in cutting programs. That's what she did at Sheridan, and that's her vision, right? But my vision is, let's move onwards and upwards. Let's do like UBC. Let's do like the University of Toronto. Let's make Memorial, a great university, but an outpost, a beacon for our relationships with the EU and UK. It's a sin. I mean, Mon got themselves into problems over the decades, spending on things they shouldn't have been spending on, got themselves into a financial crunch, and now it's charitable donations, such as Harlow. I mean, the history of it. Yeah, Lord Taylor. There's two memorials stuck to the walls of the building here, and that's what a lot of people don't see in St. John's or elsewhere. One talks about that this is a memorial structure. Lord Taylor worked in the Second World War out of St. John's, helping merchant sailors, helping officers. He's the one that helped to donate this campus. So he had that connection to the reason that Memorial University exists as a memorial to, the service people who, fought and died in the war. In fact, we have a Commonwealth grave. I'm just looking at it right outside the front window here. Yeah. There's a Commonwealth grave. In fact, there are two bodies. One of the other things the university didn't realize is there are two bodies on the land that they have to deal with as well, right? Two graves on the actual Mun land that they never put into their considerations. And that's where, if they talked to people like myself, we could have said, no, wait a second, this has a deeper resonance. This has, there's that Commonwealth grave right there that for the students every time they exit, they can look at it and go, there's a reason we're here.
Who are those two graves again? Sorry, I wish I had all the history in front of me and it could all come back to my brain in a conversation, but you just reminded me of that. Those other little issues that you don't take into consideration, how they're going to deal with that if and when they do sell it and close it. But can you just remind me of who is resting in those graves?
I don't have the names directly, so I'd have to probably pop out and sweep them away.
That's maybe why I didn't know.
Yeah, one's been covered over with shrubs over time. Okay. The other one is still there as a flat one, and like I said, the Commonwealth grave, I could just see it from here as well. That's a naval sailor that from the Second World War passed away. Right. And I forgot, I think it's Patton, maybe his name. Again, like I said, that there's a plaque here that says Lord Taylor about this being a charitable donation linking the
oldest city
in the old. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's the thing, right, Joe? And the strange thing is, Brian, there's 4 acres of land just to the south of us here that the university could have had in the late '60s for £100,000. The leases on that land for the apartments would have kept not only this campus going, but it would have fed money into scholarships. Almost all the students could have come here for free. And the university at that time turned that down, and now they're selling off the lease, property that they could lease or develop. Like I said, Tom Cooper in Business has forwarded a really good business plan about how this university could be used. Effectively, the Board of Regents ripped it up, didn't look at it, right? So,
well, I rely on you. You're over there now. Have the last students, in fact, gone through for the spring so far that we,
The very last official students, being graded, they were doing 3 courses here. They were here for 3 months, 24/7, 6 days a week. They get a 9-day break halfway through. Very intensive, over 500 kilometers of walking tours just with me alone. They just left less than 24 hours ago. They just arrived home. Wow. I'm getting all their messages saying how much the change in weather and they're going to miss the walking and everything else. And now an alumni group is coming out to close out the place. In theory, close out the place. I mean, there's still time to save it. We still have lots of opportunities to turn this facility into something that Mun was proud of. It worked really well. The number of teachers in the province that had a great experience here, and that program was cut back. It's death by 1,000 cuts in a way, right?
And full disclosure, my sister among them. She also attended Harlow as a retired. She's a retired teacher now. So. Yes.
Yeah, and those are the people, those are the alumni that contribute to the university, and I know a lot of them are bitter about the idea of selling off the campus, as with selling off, the biggest charitable donation we've ever had, the Geo Center, the Signal Hill Battery. It's short-term vision, right? It's just let's get the immediate cash, and I really blame the Board of Regents for this as well. It's the lack of imagination, the lack of creative, and for covering up the data on things like enrollment. I approached one of the members of the Board of Regents and said, "Do you know the data you were given was false on the number of enrollments?" And they said, "I don't care." And I went, "Well, that's a member of the Board of Regents who did not want true data to inform their decision."
Well, the fix was in there, not in a covert way, but you know what I mean.
But yeah, I do know what you mean exactly, Brian.
I really appreciate the time, Dr. Curtis. And any of those students that you're messaging with, get them to call me. Get them to give Open Line a call for a first-hand, synopsis.
Their experience here, it's like I said, you run them into the ground, but they seem to enjoy it, and they enjoy. Again, there's 3 local pubs. I'm not going to say within falling distance of the front door, but within falling distance of the front door.
Gotcha.
And and their relationships with the locals here. That's nothing that's never going to be duplicated in London or anywhere else except Old Harlow.
Okay. Well, I've seen your long and detailed letter to the Prime Minister and the Premier and anyone else who will listen, and the MPs. So, by all means, let me know if you hear anything back.
Yeah, and I hope that people of St. John's and the province stand up to defend, this memorial that we have to, the fallen.
Memorial indeed it is. Thanks again, Dr. Curtis. Appreciate it. Good luck. Onward and upward.
Take care, Brian.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Was promised, Liberal MHA for Burgeo Lapoille. Michael King, you are on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you doing?
Good morning. Pretty good, thank you. Sun is out now. She's shining. Far cry from yesterday, but it's looking great out there. I can't wait to have some of that bask on my face after the show.
100%, yeah, and certainly before we get into the topic, I want to send well wishes to your last Dave and his family as well, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and good on your colleague, MHA Fred Hutton for Conception-based Bell Island. He jumped into action right away. This is not a political statement, people, just so everybody knows. I'll get the emails now, right? You don't say nice things about the Tories. I do when when it's warranted. Unfortunately, sometimes when you're in government, it's not as warranted as it is when you're in opposition. But it shouldn't matter in these cases. The MHA is the MHA, and Fred did the job, and the man is very grateful. And let's all hope it works out great, eh?
Exactly, Brian, and all 40 of us are elected to represent the people that put us there, and that's our job, and that's certainly why I'm calling this morning to talk about an issue that's been ongoing. I mean, me and you have talked about it on the show before, and that's Route 480, the Burgeo Highway. As you've seen, just this week we put out a news release, and I've written the minister again to hopefully get this issue finally resolved, because it is taking forever to get some of the serious conditions on this highway addressed. There is very deplorable conditions in some of the sections, especially, some of the sections are very serious, that is taking way too long to address. We're talking about a 150-kilometer highway that is the lifeline for these people in Burgeo and the surrounding communities. It is the only road link to connect to the rest of the province that people have to travel, whether, like we've talked about before, medical care, businesses traveling back and forth, residents accessing other services. So
one way in and out, right? So.
Exactly. So, kudos to the department staff. I know they're doing their efforts on their part, but the maintenance strategy that is in place to address these issues is just not working. It's taking forever. I'm being told from the department when hot mix is available, they're addressing the issues. Then I'm being told from residents that, they're driving back and forth during the week and they're hardly seeing the crews down there. So residents are getting frustrated. I'm certainly getting frustrated with this, and we need to have a new solution to address this serious issue.
Yeah, and we had the call earlier, and I get calls on a regular basis, not just from the earlier caller. So what are the current operating policies that are, quote, preventing crews from spending adequate time repairing the worst sections?
So from what I understand, Brian, the depot workers here travel from Stephenville to address these issues, and it seems to be a case of, I'm sure it's an occupational health and safety matter, where the crew has to be back at the depot at a certain amount of time in the day, I guess, before the evening is over. So obviously if you're traveling down Route 480, it takes them a while to get to where they need to go, with their toolbox meetings, their safety meetings and things. By the time they get to an area that they have to address, they work for an hour or two, but then they have to turn around and go back because they have to go back to the depot. It's taking too long to get to the areas that they need to get to because it's farther into the road. So some of the suggestions that I've made to the minister in my letter is that, why don't we look at a private contractor to come in and do these sections of the road? This is not, asking for 10, 20, 30 kilometers of paving at a time in a project, in a roadworks project. We're asking for a contractor to come in these serious sections of the road, even cut them out, repave them, to address those quicker. And maybe we need to look at having the workers, spend the evenings in Burgeo overnight, so that they're able to in the morning get out to these areas quicker to address them, whether that may be another solution. That is what we're looking for. We're looking for solutions to these issues because, as I just said, it's taking way too long. It's very serious concerns here, very serious. We're talking about craters in some of these sections. I went down there recently in the rain and the wind, heavy rain and wind, full on. And there was some hard spots where, sometimes you see a pothole, you can get around it. Some of these areas you cannot get around these potholes. So a lot of people are damaging their vehicles, and my fear is that if we don't address this in time, it could get much worse.
Yeah, and I'm hearing it too, some private messages sent. I tell you, if there's anything to the one I got, I think a few days ago, talking about a near head-on, because people will go to the other side of the road, just like they're doing it down on Harvey Road and Military Road here in the city today, to avoid the scratch and patch. They're going to go to the other side if they think it's safe to do so, but if your visibility is obscured in any bit at all, and the earlier caller mentioned how you can see paths along the shoulder of the road, and where the shoulder is deteriorated, with people going off it to go around potholes and divots that have been there for months, if not a year or more. So, but the other thing I wanted to mention too, Michael, I made it a point on this show of, when people are going to call, the critics especially from the opposition, to have solutions. And I appreciate that you're coming forth with them, because it's one thing to just complain and rag on government all the time, but it should come hand in hand with the solutions that you're suggesting. And the overnight one in Burgeo, when they're on a specific project, seems to make sense. I mean, the money that they're spending, again, and the time they're losing with taking a whole crew out and having to bring them all the way back 2-3 hours later, or 2-3 hours away, it just seems nonsensical to me.
Yeah, no, 100%, Brian, and that has been my focus. I say this to people frequently. I'm all about solutions, and I'm not here to trash the minister. I'm here to get an issue fixed that is in my district. So if that means us working together to get the solution to get these issues addressed, I'm all for it, because that's what matters to the people that elected me, and that's what matters to me, is finding solutions to the issues that they have. And this is some of the solutions that I think the department can take to address these serious concerns.
Nope. 100%. Anything else this morning?
No, that's all good. That's just something I wanted to talk about to bring it to focus. I hope the minister is prompt in my response here to my letter so that we can, like I said, work together to find a solution. It's a busy time in the district now. Tourism season is full on. Right from Port aux Basques, the ferry is extremely busy. Ferry is extremely busy this time of year. There's a lot of people about. So that's something that we have to consider, too, on our roadways all throughout the province. It's all right for me and residents of Burgeo who probably know the frequent potholes, and we can kind of take our time and avoid it. But when you have new visitors coming to our province, the government has said they want to be the tourism capital of the world. Well, investing in making our roads safe so tourists can go to these areas like Burgeo, which is a great attraction in the summertime, and we don't want those people to have an experience where they're like, well, I don't want to go back there. We want these people to come back. We want these people to tell other folks around the province and the world about the great visit they had in our province. So investments in these areas are especially important in the tourism aspect as well.
Couldn't agree more, 1,000%. Those are undeniable things that we can all agree on. I do note that the Minister Petton, and I think Minister Jody Wall are at an announcement this afternoon, 1 p.m. in CBS, so maybe reporters can ask for a little update at that time. I'm loath to insert myself, because I know when I was a reporter and Patty would say, well, we're going to ask them those questions, and there'd be so many other things on the plate. But hopefully there's an opportunity there just to ask somebody to throw in a quick one about the Burgeo Road. So I appreciate the call this morning.
Yeah, I appreciate that too, Brian, and it would be great to hear from the minister at the announcement, or like I said, anytime soon, because this issue is not going away, so we need to address it immediately to make sure these concerns are addressed in a timely fashion. Absolutely.
Thanks a lot. Michael King, the Liberal MHA for Burgeo-Lapoile. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 1, and Greg, you're on the air.
Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Pretty good. Thanks for asking. And you?
Not too bad, I guess. I'm just calling with my note on the Burgeo Road again.
Yeah. What's changed since 2 weeks ago, Greg?
2 weeks. In 2 weeks, there's been approximately 1 kilometer of patching done. So I don't know, like you say, what they're doing, or not what they're doing, is what they're not doing. You got, like you say, 1 kilometer in 2 weeks. You got vehicles being damaged again. You got getting talks now of tourists that have been coming out with their trailers and whatnot, and they've driven in so far, and they turned around and went back. I don't know if the government, maybe they should, like say, put it out to a private contractor. If they don't want to do the work themselves, like you say, they work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 hours a day, and it's only roughly an hour away from Stephenville or wherever that area where they come from. And like, so if they're working 10 hours, why are they only punching like a couple, 3 hours a day on the road? Or I know they got other areas to cover, but if they don't want to do it or can't do it, maybe they should put it out to some private contractor who will be more than willing probably to do it and do a good job with it.
Yeah, it's hard to know the machinations, whether it's because they don't want to or can't. Who's turning around and going back? Anyone you know, or does it just look that way? Or are these tourists or people you're talking to? Or
no, I haven't seen anyone, but I'm like say been talking to people in the town and stuff, and like tourists from out of Burgeo, like I don't know if they're from Newfoundland or on the mainland somewhere, that they've driven in so far and the road's been just too bad. They just swung around and went. I heard that they went back to Rocky Harbour area actually. So like you say, next weekend now we got the Sand and Sea Festival on the go in Burgeo, and we're trying to promote tourism. And like I don't know if Minister Barber is involved in this. Like I don't know if she can do anything. Like Barry Pitton, the Minister of Transportation, was in the Stephenville area earlier part of this week. Maybe he should have took a couple hours and drove out over the road and actually seen what we got to drive around, because like you said, there's potholes across the road. They're deep, and you got to be on. Like there's spots out there now that the shoulders of the road is getting wore away, because you got to go off on the shoulder to actually get around some of the holes in the road. Is like from the 90-degree turn to Peter Strides is the worst section now, and it's awful. But I don't know, like say, if Mr. Pitton is taking this as a political thing or not, but he can't put the political stuff over safety. And like I said, like our area, Burgeo, is trying to get what it can from tourism. So I don't know what, like say, something got to be done and done soon. There's no good. They'll never get the road done this year if they keep going like they're doing. Like I don't know.
1 kilometer every couple of weeks or so. But I know it. Well, look, Greg, we know, and from your calls and others, including the Liberal MHA for the area. Michael King, he's been on this program speaking about this regularly. So, you know, I highly doubt the government is not acutely aware of this issue by now. I'm sure they are speaking directly to it. I mean, they'll talk about the ongoing work on it, whether or not the particular crews that are there are doing a part there and then going off and doing other jobs. I don't know. A little bit more specificity about it might be good from Minister Petton, absolutely, from transportation or an official in the department, just to get, give us some reassurance, give you some reassurance of exactly how it's working, because otherwise we're left to speculate as to what they're doing. Someone will say, oh, now they're off in the woods having a 2-hour coffee break, or, that's not, I'm just saying people will, if you don't see them, it's like the RCMP or any law enforcement on the highway. If you don't see them, you assume they're not there and they're not doing anything, but they could be anywhere.
Yeah, but like you said,
so I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt. But when you say 1 kilometer over a couple of weeks, that's pretty specific.
Well, yeah, it's true. Like say, like people are marking what they've done. Like you say, in the last 2 weeks, like I go over that road twice a week, every week from now till Christmas, and what I've seen, like say, from last Friday till Sunday gone or Monday, whatever it was nothing. Was just it's pitiful what they're doing to be working 8 hours or 10 hours a day. I'm not saying they got to be spending 10 hours a day on that road all one, but my Jesus, if you got 5 or 6 men working 10 hours a day and they're getting paid like $30, $35 an hour, but geez, I don't know what they're doing for work-wise. Like to say, they're sure not putting in a good day's work. Like I said, there's no reason why they can't put in a couple dumps of asphalt in a 10-hour day. Like say, when they're only an hour and 20 minutes away from the area that needs the utmost attention.
Yeah,
and like I said, tourism is trying to tourism. Burgeo's trying to promote tourism. The Liberal government got in, first things done, knocked down the PC government. Knocked down with the National Park and the NMCA. They were right up against it right from the get-go, which might have brought money into Burgeo area, which is needed. And now the road is being same thing again. Since the government got in, it seems like the Burgeo road is forgotten about again. And like I said, you got to take safety and stuff over politics. Like I said, it's just not right. I don't know, but hopefully someone will take this in consideration and go and have a better look at what's being done, or not what's being done, what's not being done.
I certainly couldn't agree with you more as far as removing the politics from it. That's just getting in our way left, right, and centre. More and more, there's just no patience, no time for it. We got to move beyond that. We got to start working together. Man, imagine a world where you break down the party lines and everybody sits at the same table and says, look, this is about the people. It's about the road. It's about safety. It's not about who's getting elected in 2 years' time or whenever the next election. I imagine that world. And I know there's reasons for it, but I tell you, it's a utopia thinking for me anyway. Greg, I appreciate the updates on it. I hate to begrudge the workers, but I mean, look, you have to assume there are controls in place. People know what they're doing. I doubt they're out there wasting time and money because we just don't have it to waste.
No, that's right.
So,
but anyway, bud. Like I said, we got everybody's driving the road every day, so there's reports being, like say, what's done and what's this much is done, that much is done. So, anyway, we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks or so, and
yes,
I'll maybe give you a call back again at the end of the month.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I look forward to the update.
Okay, my friend. Have a good one.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 2. And Junior, you're on the air.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. Thanks for asking. Yourself?
Good, thanks. Calling from Labrador. Been in business here for 41 years, and I have some real big concerns concerning the ferry that operates between Quebec and Newfoundland.
This is at the Blanc-Sablon, is it?
Yes. What's been happening for quite some time now, we've had an issue with parking up in the location, especially in Quebec, same thing in Newfoundland. Very dangerous situation I've encountered, I've had on video, because of course I wanted to show people in the government what we have on the go here when it comes to the lack of space, lack of safety, big time, when it comes to tractor trailers, and a massive amount of tourists that we have come through here in Labrador that uses this service that we have here. So what's prompted me this morning to give you a call is the situation that we have in Blanc-Sablon with neither building with wheelchair accessibility, with a washroom, especially for handicapped people that's traveling on that boat. So what they have there is a steel, used 20-foot steel container with a little small office. And on the end of the container, they have a outhouse. I can't stress that word enough, with a strap on it, strapped down to the pallet or something that they have there. So, of course, very inadequate for traveling public, very unsafe, brutal when it comes to, I really don't know. I've been in business for 41 years. Normally when I'm building something, I have to meet all the specs, all the codes for wheelchair accessibility, etc. I've dealt with that for years, and of course, it blows my mind to see this unfolding in front of our eyes. And it seems like nobody is accountable. First and foremost, we have a Newfoundland ferry that's traveling in Quebec, or landing in Quebec, I should say, for some strange reason, which I don't understand why she's not landing here in Labrador. And I say that for another reason. We have a situation where you have the Quebec boat that comes down every Friday, and of course, if she's docked to the boat, I've seen the ferry having to wait with the passengers on board 2 hours off from the dock until the Quebec boat leaves, which is totally unacceptable. That's another issue. But the safety issue and the toilet issue and the building issue is the biggest thing right now that I want to discuss. And of course, what's happening, I mentioned to some of the people that are working with this company last week when I was in Moncton, brought to my attention the situation with people wanting to use the washroom. So, of course, I explained to her, I said, I want you to visualize in your mind, if you would please, if you're in traffic's waiting to get on the boat, and we see it from time to time. The boat is delayed because of when you're jammed in the traffic on the front, and you're jammed, and there's no way to get out of there. So you've got an elderly individual who's crippled and needs to use the washroom to do number 2. I want you to visualize, I said to the lady, I want you to visualize if that were your grandmother or your mother, what would you do in a situation like that? And what would your grandmother do? What is she supposed to do when it comes to using the washroom? Like, it's totally unacceptable. I really, really don't know what the politicians are thinking about to not step up and put something in place. Where would you get away with this kind of a service, this kind of, not even a service, or this kind of conduct? Where would you get away with it anywhere else in Canada? Matter of fact, I don't believe you would even get away with it if you were in a third world country. It's totally unacceptable. So this morning, I'm not going to say things that are inappropriate when it comes to the government officials. I'm calling on the federal and the provincial government members that represent Labrador to take this up on their agenda, to address it, and not address it next year, address it now, because, of course, there's an accident waiting to happen with the parking issue and the lack of space, and it's an embarrassment to the tourism and to the people that live here in Labrador to see people up there. They're having to go behind buildings. They're having to do their thing in the open and what have you. It is totally unacceptable. And I want to reach out to the government officials today and the owner of the vessel and get them to respond to this conversation that I'm having with you today and tell the public what are they planning on doing to resolve those serious issues that I've just mentioned.
Yeah, the service is operated by Labrador Marine, of course, and of course the MHA is Lisa Dempster and MP Philip Earle. Is this a makeshift, temporary? Is there any indication of how long specific to the bathroom issue?
Well, I spoke to one of the workers last week. She indicated that that is on their radar to get something done about it, but on the radar is totally unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. I mean, say there's, first and foremost, I don't know for the life of me why don't they have a simple system where, like Port aux Basques and whatever, where you would have a terminal on top of the road here that goes down to the boat here in Quebec, a terminal on top where it would allow people to come in and, of course, use the same method that they use in North Sydney and Port aux Basques. But they just want to seem to make things complicated all the time. You have to go down over a hill. You're in the parking lot of another business that's on the go there with the Relay Nordic Quebec freight boat, and like everything combined together is just an accident waiting to happen. And I've expressed this to government officials and sent videos before, but nobody is responding, and it blows my mind to see, you know, the government allowing this to continue and nothing being done about it.
Well, I wonder to what extent they're aware. Sometimes they should be. It's at least someone in the office. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on a lot of plates these days, but you have staff for that reason. And if it's located within either your district as a provincial MHA or a riding as a federal MP, I'd say it would be brought to your attention as the urgency demands. But you mentioned, you know, why they try to make it so complicated. I find it hard to believe that, you know, either bureaucrats or a company is trying to make it more complicated. The last thing they want to do is have this kind of criticism heaped upon them, right? Usually, and you know this too, Junior, I'm sure, this comes down to money. This probably is the most efficient way to deal with it in the short term as they find a way to fund it. And as you said, whether it's just Labrador Marine that has to find the resources or whether or not they're kicking the tires of the feds and the provincial government to find out how they can all deal with it and whether the Quebec government should have any say in it. But I mean, it's operated by Labrador Marine, and I welcome anyone from the company to speak to this. As you said, if you're hearing nothing, crickets or whatever, and no one seems to care, this is the way to do it. So it's been, you know, very well articulated here by you this morning, and in a very respectful way, I might add, because as you said, right, you're not here to rip them and you're not here to call them down and all this pejorative language that just ends up, you know, watering down the topic itself, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just want to be, like I said, want to be informative about the situation, and I want to work with. I'll do whatever I can, and from from a business perspective, I like to chip in. I'm always there trying to promote the tourism in Labrador, but of course, this here is not promoting tourism. This here is not promoting safety. This is deplorable situation that we're dealing with, and nobody's doing it. Everybody's just talking amongst themselves here in the Strait of Bellagh, and nobody's doing anything about it. And that's what they were elected in for, to do something about this here. And we're calling upon them today very respectfully to take this in their hands and do something about it ASAP.
Yeah, and of course, Junior, just full disclosure, you're with, you've got a company there, right? A moving company, correct, in Fort Howe?
Yes, that's correct. We've been in business here for 41 years. We're also a wholesale company that supplies all the stores all over Labrador and the Quebec North Shore here. Yes, that's correct.
Have you been down there? When was the last time you were physically down there, or is a lot of this coming from your employees?
No, I've been down there. I'm basically down there almost every day, and of course, I view what's going on while I'm there, and I'm just shaking my head. Like I really don't understand how this can go on without being someone from the government stepping in and saying, "Oh man, this is unsafe. This is deplorable." You got tourism, you got tour buses showing up with 40 and 50 people, or 40 people, whatever they take, showing up to this location, and you got mostly elderly people, and all of a sudden they want to use the washroom. Where do they go to use the washroom? Like, come on, like, you would not get away with this anywhere else in the world.
Well, it's out there now, and I appreciate the call and the detail. And as I said, the proper way to put it out there without ranting and raving, this is obviously an issue for your business and for any traveler. So I welcome anyone that has a role in any of this and is aware of it with government or business and Labrador Marine Inc. to give us a shout and respond to your concerns. So I appreciate the call, Junior. Thank you.
Yeah, well, like I said, I just want to respectfully send it out there, and we want to work with the government. We want to work together to make this problem go away.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's see, next in order, we got Sam. You're on line 2. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Brian. A good show, the same as always. Every day it's good, always something new coming up on Open Line. But, Brian, I did tell you earlier there when the food fishery was announced, I would call in and give you an update sometime.
Yeah, sure.
And I do have to say, what a difference this year especially on the northeast coast, that you can pick any day at all and go out and catch a few fish. Now, the first week, like a few days, right, on the Gulf first, you'll see a lot of boats out. But I've noticed this past week or so, there's not half as many boats out at the food fishery as it would be on just having it on weekends.
What about what area would you mostly be familiar with, Sam?
Down anywhere from Plate Cove to Bonavista, down on the shore down that way, right?
Gotcha.
And just talking to people over around Trinity and places like that, and they say the same thing, right? There's not as many people out. The first week there was a lot of people out, and after that everything is after just slowing down. Even myself, you know, because before on weekends I would always just have a crowd out around with me, and I'd be taking people out. You'd probably be making 2 or 3 trips a day or more, bringing people out. But now I had 2 people so far this year. Now, right now I got brother-in-law down from Toronto. Now he's longing to get out, right? But it's such a difference, you know. I always thought that if it was open every day, you wouldn't see as many people out there, you know. And it's just so safe that you can just pick any day and wait for a nice day if you feel like going out. Right? You know, there's no pressure on you or anything like that. Oh God, I got to go out the weekend. I got to take such a ones out there coming out, right? But I think that's what it's going to be like with all around the island, right? And I'm hoping next year that all Newfoundland and Labrador can have the same thing, you know, go out every day, right? I know some places now that they can't, they still only got weekends, but please God, next year that might be changed.
Yeah, I think they use the experience of 1 year to the next as a gauge, right? Whether or not it has to do with stock decline or risky stock or risky numbers in one area versus the other. I mean, this will be music to the ears of some federal officials for a change because, more often than not, you're getting they're getting slagged for the rules, for any rules around the food fishery. The people call it the recreational or the residential, if you like, and of course the southern and western areas of the province. This might guile them a little bit, but maybe they have something better to look forward to next year.
Oh, definitely. I think there will be, right? Especially when they look at this at the end of the season, summer, right? And they get their reports and everything, right? And they'll know then, right? That is not as bad as what some people think. People's thinking that people's going to be going out there every single day and going after a black market and everything like that, like I heard people say before. And it's not like that. No, sure, you might get a few people with black market or anything like that, but you can't nail everybody for a few people, right?
No, that's it. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and on the metaphors go. But, you're going to have some level. They know it. That's why they have to have an enforcement level of DFO. You're going to have some level of people who are just going to not follow. They just don't care. There are people who just don't follow it,
Yeah, well, it's like anything, right?
That's right.
There's going to be a certain amount of dispute with it anyhow, no matter what rules you put in place, right?
Absolutely.
But I just thought it would be nice for the call in, because I'd be calling in all along saying, well, hurry up, can we get this changed? Can the dates be announced earlier and everything, right? So I think it was a really, really good move this year.
Yeah, even if it's baby steps, I'm sure they'll be happy to hear that. The federal minister will probably be happy to hear that as well. So, Sam, they rely on that, right? The first-hand, you get a lot of first-hand response. The survey they did was overwhelming, but hearing it from people who are on the water like yourself.
Yeah, it is, I got to say, right?
Yep.
So I'm quite delighted, and I'm happy with it, like I say, right? And it's just such a relaxing when you can just pick any day at all and say, well, I'm not going to bother today.
What a fish like that
a nice day.
What a fish like that you've gotten. I've seen mentioned yesterday. I saw one the size of a man there.
Oh, yeah.
55-pounder or something.
You get some nice fish, right? And usually most of the fish that we get is probably close to the end of the pan, right? The fish pan, right? A lot of it is, right? Now you got to have some small fish with it too, right?
Of course.
But on the larger scale and everything like that, the fish has been really, really good. It's nice size, everything like that. But the hardest part of it now is still chasing capelin and baiting around, right? You go to one piece of ground. And all of a sudden, you could load a boat there, right?
That's right.
And someone else could go there just as you leave, and there's neither fish there, right?
Yep.
Because it's chasing the capelin, right?
Yeah, that's why I was saying you might see them somewhere and you might not see them somewhere, and you can't always base that just on a moment in time, hey?
No, not at all, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But I must say, it's really good. It's a pleasure to be able to do it the way that it is now. It's just like we're gone back to our original days when we could go out and catch a fish whenever you want.
Well, it's great to hear from you, to hear that from you. And again, the western and southern areas of the island are not so happy, but again, maybe there's better days to look forward to. Hopefully next year, when they have a closer look at it, maybe expand it. The size of the fish matters too. It's not always just a number. When they are that size, they're matured to that size, there's also an indication that, the stocks are looking pretty good. But there are others out there who say we are opening her up, especially the commercial side of it, to trawlers at our peril, because we could repeat the mistakes of the past if we're not careful. And that's absolutely true.
Yeah, hopefully we won't, because I know there must have been about 4 or 5 years ago, I caught one fish. She was 78 pounds. It was up on your news station for about a week. I was getting comments on it.
Do you still got a picture of that?
Was a big fish. Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm sure we do too here, but I don't know if you got the email or going anything. You should flick me a picture if I can't find it. I'll put it up again as a reminder.
Okay, not a problem at all.
Open line at VOCM.com if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Flicker along. Thanks again, Sam. Appreciate the call.
Yes, thank you for your time too.
Thanks everyone for your calls. Still no major sports. I'm lost without the major sports on the go. Jays pick it up tomorrow. There is one game tonight in Major League Baseball, but I'll probably be watching Trump give his big national address because you never know what could come out of that. That's sport in itself. Different type of sport. Drive safely, everyone. VOCM cares.